YouTube, capital G here, checking out the absolutely absurd and stupidly powerful Don 1000 cards that just got revealed coming out of our upcoming Battles of Legends. Konami must have been smoking that good stuff when they came up with this Numeron support, because I honestly believe this stuff should have never been created. And guys, you're gonna have to watch the entire video to really understand why I think that these cards are so broken. If you don't, you're really not gonna be able to get the full picture if you just kind of like, look at the monsters or read those. But I honestly think this might be the first time in a very long time where Konami actually has to do some ban list hits before this stuff even comes out. Anyways, the first monster is the only main deck monster that we know about for Don 1000. This is Numeron Wall. It's a level 1 Dart Fiend monster, 0 attack, 0 defense. It's a 1-for-1 target, which is very important. We'll talk about that momentarily. Your first effect is a hard once per turn. If you control no cards, or the only card you control is Numeron Wall, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or your side of the field to the graveyard, take 1 Numeron Network from your hand or deck, and activate it. Effect number 2, when you take battle damage, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, in the battle phase at the end of the damage step. Okay, so if you're only going to have one main deck monster, I would say that this is an excellent starter, or an excellent piece for your archetype, because you really look at this card, it's got the effect, it gets you to your Numeron Network, which is the field spell, the card that is absolutely absurd. Again, we're going to talk about that card later. It gets you to the core piece of your combo, and it does so in a way where you can't actually be Ash Blossom. Keep in mind, this card does not take something from your deck and add it to your hand. It takes it from the deck and just activates it. Also, this card doesn't actually have to eat up your normal summon. Either you can special summon it from your hand when you take damage, or you can just kind of like discard it from your hand and activate the effect. Even if you want to pull it out of your deck with a 1-for-1, you can still activate it on field. So this card is just absolutely amazing. Again, doesn't eat up your normal summon. It gets you to your power card, your field spell, without being susceptible to Ash Blossom, and even has an effect that can stop your opponent's battle phase dead in its tracks. It's an amazing card. Anyways, the rank to exceed is actually going to be your number C1 Numeron Chaos Gate Sunya. It's a rank 2 Dart Machine monster, 2000 attack, 1000 defense. The materials are 4 level 2 monsters, but there is an easier way to summon this, because I was like, whoa, who's going to be able to summon that? It says you can also exceed summon this card using 1 number 1 Numeron Gate Akim. Also transfer those materials onto this card. Effect number 1, if this card is exceed summoned, banish all monsters on the field. Effect number 2, if this card is banished during your next standby phase, you can special summon this banished card. Also, if you control Numeron Network, which again is the field spell that you search with Numeron Wall, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the total attack of banished exceed monsters. So this guy is to me very similar to the topologic monsters. You know how they all have like banish effects built into them? Well, not Gumblar Dragon, but topologic Zerovoros. This card kind of reminds me of that. Basically, it comes onto the field and just banishes all monsters. Now, it does banish itself. However, this card does also, like Zerovoros, kind of special summon itself. So you're really not going to be hurt by that all that much. Really, it kind of works in conjunction with the field spell, not just for doing the potential burn damage, but it works with the field spell when it comes to summoning this card, because it's actually insanely easy to summon this card. Honestly, I think this card is really solid. I think that as good as it is, you're probably not going to see it used all that much, because it's just like unnecessary, but this is definitely a good option. Really solid against your opponent. If they have a bunch of monsters on field, you can just wipe out their monsters, banish them, and then only this card will come back to the field. Now, for the next 4 monsters, they're essentially all the same. They really work in conjunction with the field spell and the normal spell for Don 1000, but there's really no point of me reading all 4 of them. They're all the same typing, all the same stat line, have the same effects and everything like that, just different names on these cards. So number 1, Gate Numeron Ekim, which is the card that you use to rank up into the other Exceed monster. This is a rank 1 light Exceed monster, 1000 attack, 100 defense. Its materials are 3 level 1 monsters, but you ain't never going to summon it like that, so don't worry about that summoning condition. Your first effect is cannot be destroyed by battle, and your third effect is at the end of the damage step, when this card battles an opponent's monster, quick effect, you can detach one Exceed material from this card, double the attack of all Numeron monsters on your field for the rest of the turn. Okay, so these cards are actually really strong, but they're not very strong in a vacuum. They're not strong if you just look at these cards individually. They're strong because of the field spell and because of the normal spell in the archetype and how they all kind of work in conjunction. Just understand that these are going to be integral to kind of like the strategy of this deck, and it's going to let you do some very insane things. But for you guys to really understand why these cards are good, like I kind of have to go over the field spell and then the normal spell. But you'd never want to just summon one of these cards and just sit it on the field. You're going to want to use them all in kind of unison and all together at one time. The field spell is Numeron Network, and this is what you search with Numeron Wall, the level 1 guy. Numeron Network is a field spell that has a hard once per turn on the first effect. The first effect says during your main phase, you can send one Numeron normal spell that meets its activation conditions from your deck to the graveyard. This effect becomes that spell's effect when it is activated. Second effect, if a Numeron Exceed monster you control would activate its effect by detaching one Exceed material, you can activate that effect without detaching Exceed material instead. So this is when my eyebrow started raising up, and I was like, whoa, this is actually kind of powerful, and it's making me think like this is kind of insane because number one, this card lets you activate spell cards from your deck without actually needing to draw those cards, which is absolutely insane. I think I had heard something like that, or heard somewhere that Don Thousand had some crazy stuff like that in his deck where he was activating spell cards straight from his deck, and obviously Konami is referencing that in the first effect, and that effect is absolutely bananas when we get to the spell card. But the second effect is also pretty insane because basically it lets you use those Exceed monsters without actually having to detach their Exceed materials. So all those rank 1 Exceeds that detach for them to double all Numeron monsters on the field when they're basically battling with an opponent's monster, you can constantly activate that effect over and over again because the second effect is not a hard once per turn, and it lets you do that without actually having materials. And you might think, how applicable is that, Cap G? But when you get to the spell card that I'm about to read, you're about to see how applicable that actually is. Just understand, this card right here, this field spell, is actually like broken. When you really combine it with the actual spell card I'm about to read, you think that this field spell is actually like Banward. I mean, just being able to activate spell cards from your deck probably wasn't the greatest idea because that reminds me of like some Zodiac stuff where we're breaking mechanics, but hey, Konami went ahead and did it, so I guess we're here now. Anyways, the only normal spell that we currently have for Don Thousand is Numeron Calling. Good lord, this card is broken. It's a normal spell card, and it says, if Numeron Network is in your field zone, but you control no monsters, special summon 4 Numeron Gate Exceed monsters with different names from your extra deck, but they are banished during the end phase, and for the rest of the turn, you can only normal/special summon a monster once. Now do you guys understand why all of this stuff is absolutely absurd? This specials 4 monsters from your extra deck just by having the field spell in the field zone. And again, you do not have to hard draw this card. You activate the field spell, or you can get it from terraforming or from Numeron Wall, and the field spell will activate this card from your effing deck. Now from that point, you only get 1 additional summon for the turn, whether it be a normal summon or a special summon. But as a lot of us have already realized by now, you can do so much broken stuff with just 1 summon. I mean, I think the obvious in the card that's probably going to get banned because of this is number S0 Yatopic Zexal. I mean, imagine that, guys. We now have a 1 card Yatopic Zexal, and for those of you who don't remember Yatopic Zexal, that's the card card that you're supposed to have to summon using rank ups or a whole bunch of monsters. That's kind of difficult to do. It's basically like Shockmaster. When you activate the effect during your opponent's turn, they can't activate any card effects for the remainder of their turn. No spells, no traps, no monster effects. I mean, good lord, Azathoth got banned and we all thought that that was super problematic, and that only stopped monster effects. I mean, your S0 is going to be 3000 attack once you detach a material, and it stops everything your opponent's going to do, and you can summon it with one card. Like, what were they thinking? Not to mention, let's just say that they ban S0. Okay, well, you can still go into a 4-negate Appaloosa. You can go into Boral Sword Dragon. You can go into like Megaclops, the Infinite Track Megaclops, Boral Dragon. These are all one card, you know, crazy boss monsters. Hell, you can even go for an OG card like, you know, Apocalypse Towers, which will be kind of that unkillable, powerful boss monster type deal. And even if you're going second, and you really want to kill your opponent, all you have to do is summon your 4 little rank 1s in attack position and start attacking your opponent. Keep in mind, even though they're only 1000 attack and they have no materials, you can still activate their exceed material, or you can still activate their effects without detaching because of the field spell. The field spell lets you activate their effects without detaching, and it's not a hard once per turn. Every time you attack a monster, all of your little dudes are going to double in attack value. So they're going to jump to 2000, then they're going to jump to 4000, then they're going to jump to 8000, and it's like, probably you're going to end up OTKing your opponent. My concern with these cards, guys, is that this is almost certainly going to become a very, very easily splashable engine. I mean, let's be real, guys. All you need to do is get to the field spell and you have a 1-card Utopic Zexal. I mean, you can terraforming it, you can get Planet Pathfinder, you can get 1-for-1, or you can hard draw Numeron Wall. Honestly, I feel like this is probably going to be something that like completely ruins a format. I think it's going to have some damnless implications. This doesn't really seem like it requires all that much space, because all you got to do is just use extra deck space, not a lot of main deck space. And I don't think Konami really thought this through, or maybe they just going to preemptively ban Utopic Zexal S0, but this is definitely going to be a problem. And to me, this stuff is absolutely insane. But you guys let me know what you think. Maybe you guys think it's not as broken as I do. I think this shit is absolutely insane. Anyways, whatever you guys think, you leave that in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.